past few years, agility, adaptability, innovation, and personalization have all been buzzwords used in different digital strategies across many different industries. However, 2020 has pushed that idea to the forefront and caused consumers and retailers to adapt in ways we never thought that we would have to. The initial instinct is to cut costs. However, with consumers being forced to move online, only cutting costs doesn't seem to be an option anymore, and companies will either have to adapt their online offering and their different channels, or potentially die out to their competition who are able to innovate faster. It can be hard to see beyond the initial contingency planning, and typically you'd want to cut costs first and deal with innovation later. But in this video, we want to show you why investing in short-term innovations over simply just cutting costs can actually help your business in the long run. In this video, we'll look at a few key steps to consider when planning out how you want to use innovation in the short term and how it can also help you in the long run as well. When looking at crafting your short-term strategy, there's quite a few different areas that you could look to innovate. Perhaps it's doing a full comprehensive view of your digital strategy. Maybe it's looking at investing with outside partners. Maybe it's outsourcing some of your innovations. Maybe it's looking at things that were on the back burner that didn't make sense prior to 2020, but now in light of everything else, they might actually make the most sense. By making sure that you're looking at the different areas and seeing what is true to your company's core values, that's always a great place to start. Knowing where you want to innovate is important, but understanding your innovation agenda is just as key in order to implement in the best way possible. In the years following the 2008 recession, McKinsey interviewed a number of executives, and those that could answer the question of what was next on the agenda were 20% more likely to outperform their competition. However, companies that decided to slow the pace of their innovation or decided not to innovate at all for the foreseeable future definitely did not perform as well. As we saw in our video examining consumer trends, there's quite a few that need to be considered. For the purpose of this video, we've chosen to reflect on 3 from the previous videos. It's important to keep in mind that in times like these, consumers are more likely and more willing to try different products that they might not have tried before. Think working out at home because gyms are closed and therefore purchasing more gym equipment, or perhaps buying more athleisure for at-home comfort than going out dresses. The second point to consider is the resurgence of larger brands, potentially taking out some of the direct-to-consumer competition. The resurgence of these brands is primarily due to their availability as well as the trust that they've built for being in the industry for a number of years. But with this also comes the opportunity for them to redesign their product offerings, specifically in their private labels, and either redesign completely or launch new product to be more in line with what consumers are now looking for and willing to spend their money on. And finally, it's important to consider that your consumers are spending a lot of time at home, or nesting, as we like to call it. We can see that consumers are home for a number of reasons, be it that they're working from home or they're trying to reduce their social bubbles. Maybe it's just becoming winter and they don't want to go out as much. But we've seen, of course, that digital engagement is higher across many different channels, and direct-to-consumer brands are benefiting similarly to larger retailers. But what's important to also understand here is that not all needs are being met. In a recent study that McKinsey did, 60% of online shopping consumers that they surveyed were overwhelmed by the choices that they had and were looking for some type of personalization from the brand or the retailer that they were visiting. Keeping these ideas in mind, it's important to look at innovation through a new lens, specifically by considering your innovation pipeline and what that looks like in a post-pandemic world. Very few pipelines, I would imagine, would have accounted for an event such as COVID, and therefore we think there's 3 key activities that you should consider when we're evaluating your pipeline to then introduce into your agenda. Of your existing products, you need to decide where you want to accelerate. In making this decision, it's important to understand where your consumers are currently. What is their current pain points and expectations from you as a brand? It might not match what you were planning to accelerate from the beginning, and it might not match what you had planned at all. But by taking your consumers into view within this specific activity, you'll be able to better account for what they're looking for and how to maintain their loyalty to your brand. The next activity is really deciding what innovations you think you should put on pause. By considering your consumer and what they're expecting from you, the ideas that you had prior to the pandemic of innovations you wanted to implement might not make as much sense anymore. A great example is companies that have streamlined their product offering throughout the crisis to make sure that they were showing the most relevant products to their consumers, instead of launching new products, which typically accounts for 33% of innovation projects within retailers and companies of the like. And finally, you have to make sure you constantly have your omnichannel in focus. Client acquisition costs spiked throughout and after the pandemic and are expected to remain that way as different restrictions remain uncertain going into 2021. Once you've acquired your new clients, it's important to make sure that the experience they have is seamless across all channels and that they really see the value in what you're offering, be it your community, your newsletters, or your emails. By making sure that you're showing the most relevant content across channels to help streamline this for them, you'll be able to gain and keep more customers than you might have without. It's important to remember that there's a lot of moving pieces throughout all of this, so making sure that you're engaging with the right partnerships, the right collaborations, and so forth will be key to helping make sure that you can achieve what you want in a way that's true to your brand, but also to make sure that you're able to keep in mind these innovations from day one to allow you to make the operational and tech stack changes that you might need to moving forward. As we have seen throughout the e-commerce and personalization series, the two are highly linked across many different industries and across all e-commerce spaces, regardless of the channel. As we've seen, consumer behaviors and points of views and pain points need to be considered, along with the interaction of bigger brands and direct-to-consumers and how they're innovating and disrupting different areas themselves. Finally, by keeping in mind the idea of nesting and the fact that your consumers will be more at home, more online, and looking to be engaged, will also help you rank what's most important in your innovation pipeline to then create the most fulfilling agenda you can, not only in the short term, but also in the long term. We want to end this series by challenging you, the viewer, to let us know what innovations you've done within your own companies, or innovations you've seen by other companies that you think are in line with what we've discussed or that you found interesting, or maybe those that didn't work as well. We're always open to a virtual chat, so always feel free to reach out to any of us at Froomle. We look forward to seeing you in the next video, and we hope that you enjoyed this series.